Hi, greetings everyone. Today we're diving into an intriguing topic, plant-based eating. Now, I'm Tina Wilkerson and I'm excited to share this valuable information insight on how incorporating more plant-based foods can improve our diets and our overall health. First, let's clarify that plant-based eating isn't just about becoming vegan. It involves embracing whole, minimally processed plant foods. Okay, so this approach can be fully vegan or simply involve reducing our intake of animal products. So, yes, you heard that correct. Plant based eating isn't necessarily fully vegan, it can just mean that you are reducing the amount of animal products that you do consume. So, as we move forward, keep in mind that adopting a plant based diet can provide numerous benefits for both our health and our planet. So, join me as we explore the true essence of plant based eating and its positive impact on our lives. So, again, we've kind of briefly already touched on this, but what is plant based eating? Well, for one, it focuses on, or it can, let's just say, focus on whole, minimally processed plant foods. And again, as we already mentioned, it can be fully vegan or just a reduction of your animal products. You get to decide how plant-based or vegan you actually want to be. So this approach actually offers flexibility, making it easier for many people to adopt this healthier lifestyle. In our next section, we'll explore the potential benefits of embracing this form of eating. All right. So as we dive headfirst into the world of plant powered perks, let's kick things off with a little heart to heart on ethical considerations. Now, your decision for eating more plant products is your decision. However, I'm just presenting with you today a selection or a few reasons why some people actually do decide to go plant based, or let's just say vegan also. Okay, so plant-based munching isn't just about your munchies. It's your ticket to being a superhero for the animals. So by swapping out or swapping in more greens, you're actually giving factory farming a big old thumbs down. Okay, this green shift not only saves our furry friends and also vibes with the growing wave of ethical enlightenment for all creatures, big and small. But so again, just think about your reasons. This doesn't necessarily have to vibe with you. It vibes with a lot of people, but this is again me just sharing. As we roll on, ponder how your plate can mirror your principles. Ready to ponder the excuse me, ready to ponder the positive impact of your diet on critter care? Let's get started. All right. So, as we dive into these potential benefits of plant based eating, let's highlight a few key aspects. First, and this goes without um, question, really, adopting a plant based diet can significantly reduce the risk of chronic diseases. These include conditions such as high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and yes, even diabetes. Many people experience a boost in their energy levels as well when they shift to this type of eating. This is, one of the things that I benefited personally from a plant-based nutrition plan, which was improved like GI function. This is often due to the increased intake of whole, nutrient-rich foods. Again, if you are not transitioning to a plant-based diet and consuming, actual plant-based, whole, minimally processed, you may not receive these benefits. But again, you will be helping out animal welfare. All right. So, in addition to reduction in chronic disease, you're boosting your energy, could help with supporting weight management, as we already mentioned, or not mentioned. There are environmental impacts as well. So, Following more of a plant-based diet can help lower your carbon footprint and conserves water. I'm pretty sure you've heard that it is a lot more costly or costs more water, requires more water, I'm sorry, to raise and breed animals for food than it is for plants. All right. One of the other environmental impacts we have here is that it can help with reducing pollution and deforestation. All right. So, as you think about these benefits, consider how they align with your own health goals and your values. Um, and feel free to journal about this. Why you are deciding to go a little bit more plant based. So, again, this is my question for you. What interests you most about plant based eating? Is it your health? Is it for the environmental factors? Is it because of animal welfare? You only you get to decide that. You can have many reasons. You don't have to necessarily just choose just one. So be okay with knowing that you can be choosing plant-based eating for your health and for animal welfare. You don't have to, just choose one. All right. So, as we delve more into the realm of plant based eating, it is essential to dispel some myths that may be hindering your journey. Now, I'm pretty sure you've heard all of these. All right, so let's address the pervasive protein panic. So, contrary to popular belief, beans, lentils, quinoa, these are all excellent sources of protein, and many individuals thrive on these nutrient rich diets without any issue. Next, we confront the misconception regarding the expense of plant-based foods. Yes, the groceries and among all food groups, it seems to be, are getting more expensive now. Um, but I believe that actually eating more plants can be a little bit more cost effective. So, some of the staples that you could consume while following a plant based diet, excuse me, such as grains, legumes, beans, those types of things, those are pretty cost effective. And then, especially when your vegetables are in season or fruit are in season, those could also be quite affordable. The key here is to make sure that you are making informed choices. If you don't have a specialty store to go to, don't go there. If you have multiple grocery stores, you have the option, choose the one that has the best price that fits your budget. But again, it does not have to be expensive. You know, want to give you a challenge actually. Go into the grocery store, look up what, maybe a pound of beans versus a pound of, I don't know, steak or something would cost, and just compare. All right, and you'll be surprised. Finally, the last myth here that we will debunk or discuss is tackling the apprehension surrounding to the transition, to a plant-based diet. With the right resources and a bit of planning, adopting this lifestyle can be straightforward and incredibly enjoyable. So some people say it's too hard, but again, with the right resources, you pretty much can do it. So, together today, let us dispel these myths and embrace the benefits of plant based eating. All right, so Tina, yeah, I have my reasons for eating plant based. You've told me it's not that expensive. You told me that it's not hard. So, how do I do it? All right, well, now that we've addressed again some of these myths about plant based eating, let's dive into some practical steps for making this happen. Right, first, we have the pantry and refrigerator makeover. This is crucial. Okay, hear me again. Having a pantry and refrigerator makeover is crucial in your transition to following a plant based diet. All right, because what you have on hand greatly influences your choices and what you will eat. So I encourage you consider removing processed foods and replacing them with whole plant-based ingredients. Um, this not only clears out space, but it also clears the mind, making the transition feel more manageable. Like if you, when you get off this video session today, if you go in your refrigerator, go to your pantry, open it up, see what's there. Like, is it crowded? Is it junky? Is it just too much in there that you don't even know what to do with it? It is time to do a makeover. And this is going to be my suggestion for you, whether or not you're following or you transition into a plant-based diet, period. Getting your refrigerator and your pantry in order, excuse me, is crucial. Right. Next, think about stocking up on versatile staples. Again, like your beans. There's so many different varieties of beans out there. Your lentils. Again, I know at least three, I believe, three or four different types of lentils. So, again, stock up on things like these. Your grains. So, your rice, your quinoa, your pasta. These are types of things that your oats, that you want to make sure you have on hand. And then, of course, your nuts and your seeds. All right. So these are not just nutritious, but also form the foundation of countless delicious meals. You can make a cheese. Of course, there's no actual dairy in it, but you can make a cheese sauce with cashews, right? There's so many different things that you can make with nuts and seeds and, grains, plant-based food items. All right. Lastly, don't forget to include a variety of fruits and vegetables in this new nutrition plan. So, having colorful options in your refrigerator, especially on your countertop, can inspire creativity in your cooking and make meals more enjoyable. This is also eye appealing to children. Believe it or not, they like color. So, have those fruits and those vegetables sitting out in a visible, height visible range that they can see, and your children will probably will have more produce as well. All right, so in our next section, we will explore meal planning and share some easy recipes that will help make this change feel effortless. All right, so again, how are we going to transition to this plant based diet? First, again, it's essential to understand that meal planning can simplify the transition. It allows you to organize your meals, ensuring you have a variety of nutrients and flavors throughout the week. So, a few things. If you decide to go plant-based, but your refrigerator and your pantry is not stocked and you get hungry, who knows what you'll eat. Okay. So this is why it's important. Step one, get your refrigerator and your pantry in order, but then also plan your meals. Plan your meals and then make sure they're easy recipes that you're not having, 10, 20, 25 ingredients. Some recipes you can make with as little as 5 ingredients, excluding maybe salt and pepper as a part of those ingredients, and it tastes wonderful. All right, do a little Google search, see what's available. What can I make? 5 ingredients or less, a plant based meal. All right, so key point, start by selecting a few recipes that excite you. It could be a hearty lentil stew or refreshing quinoa salad with um, depending on the season. I am recording this, it's springtime now. There's a lot of produce available, so making a lot of maybe quinoa salads or other like pasta salads would be something that you will want to make during this time. These recipes will not only nourish you, but also, again, make your meals more enjoyable. Have a variety of different things. I also like to encourage people to think about their usual non plant source meal. Maybe it's spaghetti, that's, an easy one. A lot of people like that, or a lasagna. That can be made instead of like with ground beef or turkey, pork, animal source protein. You can easily substitute that with, either lentils, beans, or even tofu. You can do that. All right, so we're all busy. We're all busy. When we're in a rush and or we don't have enough time and we don't have, our meals planned for us, we likely will fall into old habits. So again, how to transition to plant-based eating is to batch cook. And this basically means preparing larger quantities of food at one time. So this will help you stay committed to your new, eating style. You can easily reheat meals, um, during busy days, or if you get home late. And again, you don't want to prepare anything, but if you've already set up your refrigerator as a plant-based, I like to say buffet. So if you open up your refrigerator and you already have some protein sources prepared. You already have your greens, your leafy greens washed and ready. You have your grains prepared, and you can just pick and choose whatever you like, and in less than probably 5 minutes you can have your meal on the table. All right. The last thing I want to say about meal prep and easy recipes is to don't forget about your snacks. Just because you're going to be, having a plant-based eating plan, you don't have to get rid of all of your snacks. You can still consume them. I will share that, fruit is the fastest food you could ever consume. So definitely, have some fruit on hand, but also have other healthy options like hummus and veggies on hand. You can, make your own hummus if you have the tools at home, or you can purchase hummus from the grocery store. If you want to, dip that with, whatever favorite produce you like, whether it's carrots, broccoli, cauliflower, celery, that could be your snack. All right. The importance of snacks is to keep you on track and to keep you satisfied. All righty. All right. So by implementing these strategies, you'll find that transitioning to this way of eating, a plant-based eating plan, cannot, well, can be feasible and fun. All right. It can be simple and easy if you take one or 2 days throughout the week to do a little meal prep. Your meals can be on the table in less than 5 minutes during the weekday. All right, so let's look forward to discussing how to handle eating out in social situations next. Because, again, you don't necessarily have to just eat in your home by yourself all the time when you're doing a plant based eating lifestyle. You still get to go out and enjoy family and your friends. All right, so dining out and social situations, how are you going to prepare for those? All right. So let's talk about how to navigate eating and handling social situations when transitioning to this type of eating plan. Number one, eating out can very well be challenging, but many restaurants now offer plant based options. So I heard this from Dr. Neil Barnard from the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. He says, look for international cuisine. Think about Japanese or Thai or Mexican or Italian. Think of those types of things. A lot of those different cuisines have, vegetables, grains, and legumes, so it can be made a little, easier for you. Your options can be a little bit easier if you just go to some of those types of restaurants. But also, don't hesitate to ask the staff for modifications or changes to make your meal more plant friendly. Just for an example, a lot of times when I go out, especially if I'm really being um, plant centered at the time. If we go out to a restaurant they're having breakfast, most restaurants serve like an omelet, okay? But if you're not eating eggs at this time, what you can just ask the chef to do is dice up a variety of different vegetables. Um, and you can have that along with, let's just say you want to have some oats along with it, or you want to have some sauteed spinach, or kale or whatever, or onion on top of something, even like grits. Okay, so when you're making choices at a restaurant, you do have to be a little bit more lenient. All right, you have to, especially if you didn't do your homework in advance to see what was available at the restaurant. It's important that when you are there, you choose the best that you can. All right. So when you're gathering out with, different friends, family, coworkers, even, it's important to remember that your dietary choices are valid. Um, you can bring your own dish, to these types of situations or environments, or you can make suggestions that do cater to plant-based diets. Um, when you do first start, transitioning, some family and friends may not understand, and it's not for them to understand. So again, going back to why some individuals choose to follow a plant-based diet, knowing your why will help you to stay committed when maybe you will get some social pressure from friends and family. So know your why. So when you are presented with the question or you are receiving pressure, you can easily just, respond in a polite, respectful manner and then continue to stay true to your decision making regarding plant based eating. All right. So, again, stay confident. It's your choice. You can, inspire others, or, some people are a little offended, when they first start going plant based. So, if someone, asks them a questions, they become defensive immediately. You don't have to do that. Again, if you know your why, you just let them know. You're not, judging their decision, what they're doing, and hopefully they won't, judge yours. Okay, so you can share if you want to go into, why you made the decision that you made, but try not to present it in a way that's going to offend or insult others, just like you don't want them to offend or insult you. All right, so as we prepare to discuss sustaining plant-based lifestyle strategies, um, keep these things in mind. They can make your transition smoother and, of course, more enjoyable. And the more enjoyable it is, the more likely we will continue to do it. All right, so you've been plant-based for a while. You've gone out to a few restaurants. You've had some social pressure, but you're still going strong. How are you going to continue to sustain this way of eating? All right, so three, um, let's focus on the core components that will support this lifestyle. First, again, we just want to know like what is in the nutrition plan. Vegetables, of course, incorporating a variety of color, not only adds flavor, but also boosts your nutrient profile. So think about how you can make vegetables the star of your meal. I like to encourage members to consider what like a frisbee, 8-inch frisbee will look like. You have that visual in your mind. Draw a line down the middle. Half of your plate should be non-starchy vegetables and some fruit. Okay. The other side, you divide it, in two, so you have two halves, or you could call them quarters if it's, the whole plate. One of those quarters would be your grains. So it could be like your, again, rice, pasta, oats, those types of things. And then that last quarter would be like your protein source. So that could be, again, your beans, your tofu, your tempeh, your seitan. Those could fit in that last category. All right. So this is what basically, the diet, the lifestyle is: fruits, vegetables, legumes, grains, seeds, and nuts. All right. And then, of course, the powerhouse. First of all, I don't think I mentioned this before, but I do want to bring this up. All plant foods have protein. That is probably one of the main questions you will receive, but don't worry. You can just easily respond. All plant proteins or foods have protein. They may not have as much, well, not may not, they do not have as much per animal products, but they still are high quality proteins in your legumes, your grains, your nuts, your seeds, and even your vegetables. So don't be afraid to go plant based because you think you won't be getting enough protein. You absolutely will. All right. So, sustaining this type of eating plan is not just about its individual components. So, that's, another thing I do want to just emphasize. But it is about how they all come together to create a balanced and more fulfilling eating experience. There used to be, when I was in undergrad, a long time ago, the idea that you had to, have certain foods combined at the right time in order to have like a complete protein. Now we just know if you're eating a variety of foods throughout the day, most, individuals will be fine. So long, again, you're having a variety. You're not having like the same thing every day for months on end and not incorporating, variety, but you're like mixing it up, and it doesn't have to be every day, but you are having, seasonal foods that are providing different types of nutrients and vitamins and minerals. All right. So again, how are you going to be sustaining this plant-based eating throughout, the years? You have to definitely overcome some challenges because there will be some. So let's actually talk about some of these. First, handling food cravings. All right. Because you decided to go plant based doesn't mean your craving for chocolate, pizza, cheese is going to disappear. Okay. It won't happen automatically, but if you really give it some time and really just take those food items out of your nutrition plan, over time your taste buds will change. So maybe those cravings won't be as frequent, or and you can just override them quickly. But you will have to handle food cravings in the beginning. I like to encourage individuals to find plant-based alternatives, um, especially if you're just transitioning and you are craving, let's just say, chicken tenders. All right. There are a lot of food corporations, companies out there who have plant-based options. I'm not telling you to have them, okay? But I am saying if you are trying to transition and you want some of those things, you can use them to help you through this transition period until you decide, all right, I don't really need that in my nutrition plan anymore. Okay. So the plant-based alternatives are out there. Um, and let's see here. Time management, meal prepping or meal planning, and batch cooking. All right. So meal planning and batch cooking will be your best friends. Like they will be your new BFF. Okay. Not only do they save time, but they also ensure you have nutritious meals ready to go when your life gets busy. I hear this a lot. Maybe I should have like included this in the beginning about some of those myths. Oh, I'm too busy to be plant-based. No, all it requires is a little bit of planning ahead. It can even be the night before. Okay, so with maybe overnight oats or something of that nature. Or if you're gonna have a smoothie, load your smoothie um, carafe or container with whatever you're going to be having, then just blend it in the morning. Or if you don't like that option, gather the ingredients for your smoothie, put it in a Ziploc bag, freeze it in the morning, take it out, put your liquid in it, make your smoothie. Okay. We briefly already touched on dealing with social pressures. It can definitely feel daunting if you're not um, let's see, if you're not sure why you're doing this. So again, I do like to emphasize, definitely make sure you know your why. But it's because it's all about confidence. Stand firm in your choices and make it known that you are embracing this new type of lifestyle, and you are going to be as positive as you can stepping into it. It's both positive for your health and of course the environment. All right. So, again, how are you going to sustain this plant based eating lifestyle? You're going to have some resources. You need some encouragement, some accountability, some education along the way. I do appreciate you listening to this little presentation today. However, this is really just the basic. In order for you to really put a little bit more reason behind your why, you may want to read some books. I listed a couple here, but believe me, this is nothing. Dr. Michael Greger and T. Colin Campbell have a variety of different books. Dr. Neil Barnard is another author of quite a few books. Um, I'm trying to think. So yeah, I mean, a lot of credible plant-based doctors out here providing this type of information. And even if you don't want to know the um, medical reason behind everything, maybe you just want some recipes. There are a lot of plant-based cooks and chefs also that you can look into for additional resources. Some documentaries, you may have already heard of these. What the Health is a popular one. Forks Over Knives, Game Changers. That one is really about athletes who follow a plant-based nutrition plan. And I particularly like that one because, again, these are athletes at the top of their game. Some Olympic gold medal athletes who are out there on a plant-based nutrition plan. All right, so you're not going to die from a protein deficiency because again, we have evidence that there are plant-based bodybuilders, basketball players, football players following a plant-based nutrition plan. Cowspiracy is another um, documentary, especially if you want to know a little bit more about like the animal welfare side of following a plant-based nutrition plan. When you're dining out, there's also apps. Um, the one that I always hear of, I don't really necessarily use it. I just look up the particular restaurant I'm going to or look at the menu when I'm there to decide, what I'll eat. But the Happy Cow is an app that you can, download on your phone if you're going out of the country or, just a different part of the United States and you want to know like what vegan or vegetarian options are available, you can use Happy Cow. All right. One of the other most important things, and this is with anything in life, is in order to, well, I shouldn't say in order because some people thrive without um, a community. Maybe that's not true either. But anyway, find your community. We are not here to be alone. Granted, you may be within amongst your friends or your family members, you may be on the only plant-based eater, but your community is out there. There are plant-based support groups online. Um, so you can, if you're in Virginia, but you want to follow a support group in New York or Chicago, wherever, Nevada, there may be some support groups. Okay. So do a little bit of research, find your community, attend workshops or meetups. I've seen workshops on, well, I can't remember right now what's the name of that platform, where people like create events that and you just sign up and pay and those type of things. But they're everywhere. Okay, so look them up, see if you can attend one. Again, Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine has what they call Food for Life instructors. Shameless plug. I'm a Food for Life instructor as well, where I teach nutrition courses or actually plant-based cooking classes to show you just how delicious eating plant-based could be. So you can go to Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine website, look up, trying to get in contact with a Food for Life instructor, and there you go. Instant community of other plant-based eaters. And then, of course, if you don't want to do anything like that, you just want to, be in the comfort of your own home, you can engage with communities, plant-based communities on social media. So, I mean, they're out there. Okay. So don't feel like you have to do this alone. You do not. All right. So let's now shift gears to a powerful call of action. All right. You are familiar now with what plant based eating is, some of the reasons why, a person may go plant based. You are familiar with how to transition to plant based eating. And you're also familiar with, some of the like potential challenges. Um, but you're also armed now with how to potentially overcome those challenges. Okay. So I invite you to eat a plant-based meal today. Okay. It could be as simple as some oatmeal and a piece of fruit. It could be a veggie sandwich with a piece of fruit. It could be a big old massive salad, filled with leafy greens, maybe some type of plant protein like beans, tofu, tempeh, whatever. Maybe a little bit of pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds. That could be a nice salad. It could even be a smoothie. Again, if you don't want to cook, it could be that. It could be rice and beans. Um, a lot of people may, again, just use a smoothie. You can make a smoothie bowl. If you don't want to, drink your smoothie, make it with less liquid, blend it and then put it in a bowl, put some your favorite toppings on it, granola, whatever, some other of your favorite fresh fruit, and you have a smoothie bowl. Okay. Later on, I will be having a course where we can, get into a little bit more detail about how to put a meal plan together, um, how to ensure you're getting your enough calories on this nutrition plan, like, maybe even giving some ideas about, how to meal prep in a short amount of time. Okay, but that's coming later in the future. I'll let you know when it is available. But for now, today, if it's not too late, if you haven't already had all of your meals, um, try to eat a plant based meal today. Okay. If you can't do it today, do it tomorrow. And whether you're deciding to do it for your health, for animal welfare, for the environment, that's on you. I don't need to know that. Okay. I just encourage you to try to eat more plant based. Um, and yeah, so thank you for joining me today. Again, I'm Tina Wilkerson. I'm a registered dietitian, and I do hold a certificate in plant based nutrition. Um, so if you have any questions, please reach out to me. I am on social media, um, TikTok and Instagram. All right. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this session, and I look forward to seeing you again. Bye.